2020, Dream and Interpretation. 1 year ago in November, I had a dream about President Trump. I had got the dream on 4th of November 2018 in Europe, but it was on 3rd of November 2018 in US time. The dream was about the presidential election 2 years later. Later, I have found out that at the same time when I had this dream, the midterm election campaign was going on in USA at 2018. The dream was full with surprise. First, because I'm not American. Second, I was not followed the news about Trump because I'm living in Europe. After my dream, a couple of days later, the Lord opened my spiritual eyes. The dream about Trump was symbolical, full with symbolics like a poem. Let's begin with the dream itself. There was a big room full with American people who were sitting on chairs. The room size was like 4 big school classrooms added together. In the middle of the room, there was a pet. Mr. Trump made a speech to the audience. The audience was cheering, making such a big noise. Almost all of the audience were Trump supporters. There was a door which was near to Trump at the supposed to be stage. Trump did not stand on the stage because there wasn't any, and it was not necessary anyway because almost all of the audience was sitting. I was standing at the door inside the room, but almost in the door. Around 1 meter away was a place where Mr. Trump was standing. Trump was facing to the audience. Trump was so near to me, I even saw some makeup powder on his face, and underneath of his eyes, at the lower side, there was a fine line of eye pencil drawing. The line was so thin that it just would be seen if you looked closer. When Mr. Trump finished his speech, another person started to speak to the audience. During this time, Trump started some personal conversation with 3 local people around him, who were standing behind him during his speech. These 3 people were very simple, but they were happily chatting with Trump, as they know each other for a long time, despite this was their first conversation with Mr. Trump. Among the 3 of them, there was a local hunter. The hunter was so worried because he invited an anti-Trumper into the room beforehand who promised that he will vote to Trump on his voting day because the hunter gave him some meat of wild animals. The hunter asked a question from Trump if giving wild meat to someone is a bribery or not. Mr. Trump was laughing and calming down the hunter, asking since to give somebody some wild meat is bribery. Kept telling him, please calm down. You do not have to be afraid about anything. Then the voting started to begin. That's why I'm saying it was a symbolic dream, because this was not a voting in secrecy behind veils. It was an open voting to Trump. The whole audience kept their hands up to vote for Trump, but of course there were some exceptions. 2 or 3 people were not voting for Mr. Trump. Because it was a big victory with almost all of the votes for President Trump, there was a big cheering, shouting, celebration erupted. There was so much noise. Suddenly, I have heard a familiar sharp shouting from the direction of the last row of the room. My brother's small son, the 2.5-year-old version of him, thought he wanted to celebrate as well, so he started happily shouting with his sharp, high-pitched toddler voice. I became very happy that the small child was there, so within seconds I started to walk toward his direction on the path in the middle. Because the people who voted started to go home, the room itself became less crowded. As I was getting closer to the last row of chairs, I have seen my brother, who had a big smile on his face. Because the area at the last section became less crowded, my brother and his little son were able to move. My brother's little son, Daniel, the 2.5-year version of him, when I dreamed this dream in 2018, Daniel was only 7 months old. Daniel started to run on the path in the middle. He was so cute, I tried to catch him to embrace. Daniel was running very quickly forward, and at the same time he noticed that I wanted to catch him, so he made a wide half circle around me. He was so quick that it was impossible to reach him. Daniel arrived to the place where the speakers and Mr. Trump were standing before. Bit of distance, more slowly, there was another boy, exactly with the same age as Daniel, was following him. I think he was my cousin's son, who is living in New York. Daniel and this boy were born almost on the same day, with just 2 days difference between them. Both of these little boys were wearing the same type of set of costumes. The costumes were made with vivid colors of red, golden yellow, and green. The costumes were knitted, made from thick thread. The 2 little boys looked like warriors, because on the top of their heads long locks were hanging. About a half-meter long braid on each of them, made with the same vivid colors of threads as their costumes, red, golden, yellow, and green. The 2 boys' hair were shortly cutted, almost looked bald from a distance. So with the false braids sticked on the top of their heads made an impression of warriors' look. They looked like little samurais, but with a twist. Basically, they had a warrior look. They had a mixed looks of little warriors, samurais, and Vikings. My brother, with a big smile on his face, stopped sometimes to have small talk with groups of people. During this time, my husband tried to find out the method which made the braids stick on the top of the little boys' heads. He was wondering what kind of method used, if they really stick somehow, or stabilized with body-colored invisible stockings. This method itself left out from the dream because it was finished when Daniel, who was running in circles at the speaker's place, was stopped by my husband, who wanted to see the braid on the head of this little boy. So it was the end of my dream. When you have a dream from the Lord, it usually has lots of meaning. Some new meanings hit your heart couple of months or years later. Almost all of the dreams from the Lord have many, many layers of meaning. I have the interpretation of this dream, but I'm sure it has a couple of more layers as well. You might think this dream somehow personal with these 2 little guys. No, because you will see these little guys in the dream have lots of meaning. Even their name are important. I will explain it later. Some explanation of the dream. I had this dream on November 2018, but this dream was about the US presidential election exactly 2 years later, 2020. On Tuesday, 3rd of November. Or this dream was about a presidential rally in New York because these two little guys were wearing Halloween costumes, and my cousins and his family live in New York, Bronx. But because two little guys were involved, and my dream received on the 3rd of November 2018 US time, I rather think this symbolic dream was about the election 2 years later, on 3rd of November 2020. The little guys represents 2 years, which are running fast. Or time running out quickly. 2019 is quick. 2020 will be somehow slower. Seemingly slower. In this dream, I was standing at the door, almost in the door. I'm representing all of the Christians. Standing at the door meaning that we have to be doorkeepers. All of us, not just me. The door is open, so there is an opportunity right now. If we are praying, the door will be open next year for Mr. Trump. Being a doorkeeper, not just for me, everybody, is a very important opportunity and an important everyday duty. Pray for Trump. Pray for the American people. If we are good doorkeepers, Mr. Trump will be elected as a President of the United States on 2020. The door is open right now. We have to act according it by prayers, etc. The room was full with people who were in one accord, meaning the voting people are like a big family. President Trump had a conversation with some people if they had knew each other before, meaning Mr. Trump finds the way to talk personally with even the simplest people. He speaks their language. Trump makeup powder and eyeliner can be seen, meaning we will be see his face and personality differently, somehow closer. In 2018, when I had this dream, my two little nephews were only 7 months old. In the dream, both of them were between 2 and 3 years old. One of them is living in New York, United States, other is living in Europe. When I had the dream, they were just 7 months old. Despite of that, their main features and personalities, which was not known at the time of my dream, can be seen in this dream. Right now, Daniel is 1.5-year-old. He loves to run, he's very fast, thinking and deciding quickly. He's a miniature athlete right now. The other nephew, who is living in New York, moving more slowly. His grandmother told about him that he's lazy. Sometimes when he needs to move around. My two little nephews were wearing hand-knitted Halloween costumes, made with vivid colors, golden yellow, green and red. By Google, I have checked some national flags with these colors. The yellow represents gold in a Pan-African flag. Bob Marley's hat contains the same colors. Most of the flags made of yellow, red, and green colors are originated from Africa. A lot of African American living in New York. Where is my little nephew living? My nephew used to go to a childcare in Bronx, where his small friends are African Americans. My two little nephews in my dream were wearing Halloween warrior costumes with red, golden yellow, and green colors, meaning African Americans are very important right now and the upcoming years. Some more things about these two little guys of the dream. So the quicker boy represents 2019. The slower boy represents 2020. 2020 will be slower, maybe too much things will be happen. 2019 is about Daniel. Daniel is a Hebrew and international name. Daniel name meaning God is my judge. Daniel in the Bible was a prophet who lived in Babylon. Daniel in the dream, in real life, is a European boy living in Europe. So Daniel, with an international name, lives in Europe. The other little guy lives in United States, New York. He has a rare European name. Meaning of his name is warrior with mace. So not just his costume creates a warrior, his own name is warrior with a mace. This other little guy has an European name but lives in New York. Daniel has a Hebrew and international name but lives in Europe. Both of the guys were wearing hand-knitted Halloween costumes with Afro-American colors and they are warriors. Summarizing the two little guys in the dream, these days something new happening. There will be some involvement of Europeans, Hebrews, Afro-Americans, and New Yorkers. These things are not seem to be important because they are small, but day by day they are getting bigger, stronger, faster, and something new will happen, which is something to do with Mr. Trump and the presidential election in 2020. Mr. Trump will win if we pray and keep the door open.